Hey! What are you doing?
Don't shoot!
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Nagy. I'm here once again while my co-host Liam McNeil, the man with Beethoven's hair. Now, Liam, when are you going to get that hair chopped off your head?
That's a great question, Nagy. I aimed to do it last Thursday at 11:30 a.m. I turned up to my new barber, Joust. I don't know if you know this. I'm very loyal to a fault to my barber. Yeah. It's very much a fella thing, you know. You find your barber, you find the guy you like. He knows how to do your hair. You sit down, you don't have to say anything.
It's comfortable. It's
comfortable. You just sit down and you say, just do. Just do, and he does.
It's sort of like the butcher, you know. You want to have the first name basis, and they want to. You don't know too much about them. You just want to know enough about them, like, hey, we've got a customer service relationship here.
And so the search for a new barber since I've arrived back in this beautiful sunburnt country has been a long one, and it's been a troublesome one. And I finally found him. And Tuesday, Jousters, you'll be glad to know that I will be going to get these beautiful flowing locks taken care of, and I'm overjoyed. I can't wait because I get to form a new relationship, a new friendship, dare I say.
Of course.
So, Jousters, it's coming soon. Next week, you'll be seeing a beautiful, less Beethoven-looking Liam McNeil.
Had like a barrister's wig.
Barrister's wig. There you go.
Now, Liam, it was very exciting today. A lot happened today. A lot happened yesterday as well.
A lot happens every day. There's 7 billion people on this planet. Things happen all the time, every second of every day, and yet so much of them revolve around our beautiful, beautiful game of rugby league.
It was State of Origin. The team list got announced. And I got to say, New South Wales Blues, from a series which we've already lost, but we know there's no dead rubbers in State of Origin, except if you care about winning. And this one surprised a few people. We're calling for there's got to be the axe to be swung. We said we lose 2 games in the trot. There has to be some changes made, but the changes are a bit strange.
Well, is it a bit of too little too late for Frederick Fittler?
It could be.
You know, as he decided to swing the axe when the axe should already have been swung many, many, many months ago.
Yeah.
He's left the axe in the back of the car, turned up to the first selectors meeting. Oh, bugger, I haven't got my axe.
Maybe.
Can't swing it.
Maybe.
Second game, oh, bugger, I still left my axe in the back of the car. I can't go out and get it. Bugger, we'll have to save the axe for game 3.
It's like the use of the guillotine, which some people thought was barbaric, but really that took the axeman out of the equation.
Well, I'd argue that it was not barbaric. It's a very swift and, easy death with a sharp blade.
Yeah.
But it was only the rich who got guillotined, so who cares?
But what happened to the poor?
They got to watch in the town square.
Of course,
they'd all turn out. They'd have themselves a wonderful day. They'd bring along a picnic. They'd sit around just watching old rich blokes get toffed.
Well, it's before films, of course. So, if it was before films, the only thing you watch.
They were doing that up until the 1970s, I believe.
I think someone requested to be guillotined because it was still, I don't know, apparently if you've been sentenced to death, anyone out there on death row, please correct me. But apparently there was in France, there was still like, how would you like to be killed? And then guillotine was there, and they said, well, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And why wouldn't you?
Go out with a bang and a chop.
I think I'd go out by firing squad. Just get a bunch of fellas with short magazine Lee Enfield rifles and put a couple in my chest.
Now, someone also said that there was when the firing squad, and this is very important history. We're doing a complete history show about death. Now, the firing squad, there was 2 ways they could do it. One, there was the firing squad. There'll be one person with a blank.
Yes.
Yeah, and then others said
to assuage the guilt.
To assuage the guilt, of course. So you don't know potentially you had the blank and you didn't actually kill the man. And then someone also said that there was like if there's 4, they've all got blanks except for 1. And I was like, I would prefer if 3 out of the 4 had them in case one was a bit of a bad shot and it was copped 1 in the lung.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you on that one, Nag. I believe it was the great Breaker Morant who went out sitting in a chair. Of course, the leaders of the Easter Uprising in Ireland in 1916, they went out with their faces to the Englishmen. They said, put one in me chest, boys.
So come on, boys, don't make a mess of it.
Come out, ye black and tans. Come out and fight me like a man.
So he said also, don't make a mess of it like Freddie has done with the New South Wales Blues selection. But
I was wondering how you'd circle back to that.
All you justice know that we've managed to find our way back. There's one exception to this side, which we have to applaud. To say, well done, and that's the thumb.
Well done to the thumb. It's finally happened. You know, he was well known through the junior grades. He starred in under-19s Origin many years ago, scored one of the great 100-metre tries you'll ever see. And remember when he was coming through, before he had those years with a couple of injuries, it was always...
The emerging blue.
It was a fait accompli that he was going to be pulling on the sky blue of New South Wales. And it's happened. I don't know what fait accompli means. It's a wonderful saying.
I was hoping you gave it some context
It's a
around
great
it.
saying. It means basically that it was always going to happen.
Yeah.
And it did. And the thumb finally gets the go-ahead.
The opportunity that
The thumbs up, if you will.
He looks like an Origin player. He's built like an Origin player. Hopefully he can play like an Origin player in Game 3, and we'll have the whole town of Newcastle supporting him. And as well, Jacob Saifidi makes his return after playing Game 3 last year, which I think was one of the greatest NRL debuts.
It was a wonderful debut. So Daniel Saifidi had a very good debut as well.
The Saifidis-
Maybe they're two boys also who were born to play Origin.
Born to wear blue.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people forget because we lost Game 3 last year, but it was a deciding game. He went out there off the bench and absolutely destroyed them through the middle and scored a try under the posts.
Isn't it odd that they've both now played Origin, but neither have been picked in the same team?
It's true.
It's very strange. It seems like Brad has a quota of one Saifidi.
Just one.
Just one Saifidi. We'll only take one with us. Yeah. It's not enough, Brad. Put them both in.
Put them both in.
Hence the axe being swung on Brad. That's his problem. He didn't put both Saifidis in.
That's if there was one issue that caused us to lose both games is two Saifidis, not one. And not none.
Because then, of course, we know as well, we've practiced in Newcastle, they look the same. You just switch them in and out in the sheds at halftime and you don't know.
Yeah, they should both just shave their heads and then it really wouldn't matter who rocked up because they couldn't actually tell the difference.
Now, I'm very glad you brought that up because I remember when the two Burgess twins were playing for South Sydney many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And they were both playing... not great footy. They'd kind of fallen from their perches as two of the finest props in the NRL.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who the coach was, but the coach might have been Seabold, and he was referring to them as the same. So they're like, you're both the same. Just play the same.
Yeah.
But then one of them got a haircut, and the coach was like, "Nee, you are now two individual players.
Yeah.
Why don't you play differently from each other?"
Of course.
And it was a bit of a career renaissance for both of them.
Short hair, long hair, wasn't it? Yeah.
Short hair, long hair. I mean, the Morris twins, I'm glad they always stuck with their matching haircut. There you go. We've got short hair, long haired Burgess there. That was when they went to another level.
I couldn't remember which one of them went to England, which one stayed with South.
Oh, I never know which is which.
Oh, one of them.
Same with the Morrow.
But then one of them went to England and then was like, I'm going to get a hip operation and get a hip replacement. And
it's very much an old man injury.
Yeah, and they said that it was like, the NRL physio commented that this has never been an injury, an operation that someone has come back and played, professional football. And he sort of showed that when he came back from St. George. And really
bit
didn't
slow,
do much.
bit old.
Yeah, well, he's got a
geriatric hip.
He's got a piece of metal in his hip. But when we've got a player coming in like Bradman Best, like Jacob Saifidi, unfortunately we have to wave goodbye to one of our...
That's it. It's a zero-sum game, State of Origin.
Yeah.
It's a zero-sum game. When someone comes in, someone must go out. Yeah. Unfortunately, that man going out is Tyson Frizzell.
Now, he can hold his head up high. I know he doesn't come back to any of the wins, but I don't think anyone was pointing the finger to say that he didn't deserve to be there.
He didn't disappoint by any stretch of the imagination. In a team that had several disappointing players, I think he handled himself well. He acquitted himself well. But I think the decision to drop him for Keon Kaloa-Matangi is a good one.
That's true.
It's a good one. I think Keon has been on the fringes of Origin selection for several years now. Several years he's been on the fringe of Origin selection. He's a wonderful, wonderful line runner. He hits that right hand outline just beautifully. Perfectly. And so I think this is a decision that maybe should have been made at the start of the year, although I believe Keon was out injured, potentially. But I think that's a good move. That's a good axe swing by Freddie.
Potentially.
Yeah.
It's one of those Freddie's gone mad. We often said that, that it looked like this team was, constructed by AI. And it wasn't really sure the reasons behind it. But at the same time, is there a method to the madness? Now,
no,
the first two games would lead
absolutely is not.
That the madness leads to the method rather than the vice versa.
Yeah.
But we still has one more game to prove that potentially that this is all part of a master plan.
And
Lull
another
them-
big swinging axe over Jerome Luai's head. The sword of Damocles was always there, and the sword of Damocles has been transformed into an axe, and they've got rid of him and replaced him with Cody Walker, and I like that.
Yeah, I like Cody Walker. I think he's a real marvel of the game.
Yeah.
He's a real the kind of player that really can turn a game on its head. He is 33 years old.
But he was a late debutant. I think he debuted at 26, and you love to see a late debutant finally get his druthers. And I think Cody, probably deserves this, absolutely, and maybe should have happened at the start of the series.
Potentially, yeah.
As we all know, he knows how to run an attack.
I thought he potentially in game 2 he could have partnered Adam Reynolds, and then they would have had that sort of sousing. They know each other's game so well, and they were constant performers.
Because that's
in
it.
big
Freddie
games.
certainly does love club combinations.
Club combinations.
And speaking of club combinations, they've also replaced Isaiah Yeo with Cody Walker's teammate Cameron Murray.
Cameron
Club
Murray,
combinations again.
So if we look at that, we've got Damien Cook, and then we starting now is Cameron Murray, and then we've got Cody Walker. So they've got the 6, the 13, and the 9.
And I think it would be foolish in the modern game to say that a lock is not part of the spine. So you've really assembled, 3/5 of the Rabbitohs spine there.
Liam Martin there, if we could just go back I know we were all hanging on to it for a fair few minutes there, but
That's
Liam
a
Martin,
man chiseled out of granite.
isn't it just like if rugby league was a man?
It is. Yeah, he's rugby league. He's from the rugby league heartland of Temora, on the South Coast. I believe he played his juniors for the Temora Dragons.
Yeah.
And I remember when he got called up into first grade, I remember reading a story about him, and they said one of the recruiters from Penrith, they said, you got to go down to Temora. You got to check this kid out. He's 16. He's playing in first grade. He's murdering grown men.
Yeah.
He's killing people left, right, and centre who are of working age, and he's not even passed his school certificate.
Can't vote.
No,
can't drive.
Can't drink.
Can't do anything.
Can legally be sent onto a field to murder people.
Is this obviously this might be the
Might be the two he's new talking.
Well, it might very well could be the 2 he's new talking. Another questionable selection, Gutherson on the bench.
Questionable at best, terrible at worst.
Is there a plan for Gutho to come on playing a different role other than replacement at centre or at fullback, his usual position?
No. Again, Brad Fittler has shown that he simply does not understand how to use a bench utility, and usually he, at least has a good bench utility to throw on. Yeah. But now he has Clinton Gutherson.
Yeah.
And I personally, I don't know about you, Jousters.
Yeah.
I don't like the man.
No.
I don't care for the man.
I don't like
him. He whinges a lot. He whines a lot. He yells at his teammates. He's very Moses. He does a lot of this, a lot of that. And we will, of course, remember that he did play in the centres in 2020 in State of Origin, the unlosable series, which he was given several baths. He was bathed by several Queensland players.
Yeah, it's strange to sort of see him back. He's not a bad player.
He's an effort player.
He's an effort player. I suppose Origin's an effort game.
It is an effort game, that's fair, but you also have to be good at some things. And again, he's good at this.
He's good at this. Great that.
And a lot of, with the very thing that Reece Walsh got banned for, he likes yelling that word at his teammates.
Yeah, he does. He's also going to be there with another yelly man. Of course, Mitchell Moses retains his spot at number 7. So potentially we're going to see, could this not only be the end of Freddie and Teddy show, which has been such a great feature for
It's
Origin.
been a gripping show. It's been an absolutely gripping show. When you watch a show, and I've done this, my brain doesn't work, so I've watched every show that I love 45,000 different times.
Gordon
But
Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, of course.
Well, that was flawless from start to finish. I'm more talking about the shows where you get to, season 4, season 5, everything's great, you're enjoying it. Brad Fittler's won 3 out of 4. And then you get to season 6. And it's pretty bad. And then you get to season 7, and it's woefully horrible, but you cannot stop watching.
It feels like there's been a writer's strike with
season
this
6
particular
of
show.
Community is amongst the worst television I've ever seen, and yet I watch it every time.
Really?
Likewise, the late seasons of The Office. Just woeful, and yet I can't stop at the end of season 7.
It's like Scrubs, when Scrubs were like, we're going to continue.
Another great example.
Yeah, continue on, but it's like it's the college years.
Yeah.
And they're all just barely in the show.
Yeah, it's like a baby spin-off.
Yeah.
That's what Game 3 of this year's Origin is. It's like it's almost a spin-off, but not a good enough spin-off that they're going to say, we're going to keep this spin-off going. It's like, we're going to try and spin it off.
Yeah.
It's going to suck. It's not going to be renewed.
It's like when they try to redo Roseanne, and then Roseanne got fired from the show. And
she said another Nazi thing in the last couple of days.
Yeah, she's big Nazi Roseanne.
I think she said that the Holocaust didn't happen, but it should happen now.
Yeah, she's probably someone that shouldn't be on television.
No, Roseanne, if you're listening, we disagree with you wholeheartedly. I know she listens to the show, so sorry, Roseanne, but we don't agree with you.
We don't agree with you. And it's probably right there, but they continue.
You didn't deserve Jeff Goodman. You didn't deserve John Goodman as a husband.
No, he's
what a great man John Goodman is.
Jeff
Or
Goodman,
Jeff.
his brother.
Or any man, really.
She probably did deserve Tom Arnold, though, which she was married to for a brief time. Enough about Roseanne, but also they did that 90s show with that 70s show. Shit.
Yeah, I didn't
Shit.
watch it and I won't do that. And you can't tell me to do it, Jousters.
No,
You couldn't pay
no.
me good money to do it.
Queen's-
Unless you wanted to pay me good money to do it.
Yeah, then I'll do it. We love the colour of money.
Yes.
Which Queensland has made a couple of interesting selections, mainly in their extended bench. Jermaine Hopgood.
Yep.
Uh,
Well deserved. He's having a great
Great
season for
season.
Parramatta Eels. He's a wonderful player. Very good player.
what-
Can sniff out an offload.
the player that I'm excited to see, because I do like him playing in NRL, but at the same time, I hope he doesn't play too well because it is for Queensland, is Corey Horsburgh.
Corey Horsburgh.
It's just like a mountain of
Red
a man.
horse.
He doesn't look like an athlete in particular, but he looks like he's angry about that.
He does.
And he's taken his game to a whole nother level. Now, this was...
You know the man from Snowy River? He rode on Corey Horsburgh. There was quiet at the station, for the word had got around that the colt from Old Regret had got away.
Yeah.
Was it Old Regret? Did I get that?
I don't know.
Yeah. Dear friend of the show, Oscar. Oscar's dad actually has the poem "Man from Snowy River"
Written
on the wall in the bathroom.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
doing a wee the other night there, and I really enjoyed it. I think I took a bit longer than planned because I just got sucked into the poem. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful
Some
poem.
of our nation's finest verse.
Yeah.
AJ Brimson at fullback. Interesting that Kalen Ponga ruled himself out the other day from an Origin series that he had already ruled himself out of.
He had to rule out twice.
Yeah.
And this is something interesting about Kalen Ponga's decision, because if we remember 2 months ago, two months ago.
Again, you keep asking me if I remember things now. You know that I don't.
2 months ago, they were saying Kalen Ponga might have to retire. And then they came back, and then he had a very, very bad game against Parramatta. And we said maybe he should retire. Maybe he's past it. And then he said, oh, look, I don't want to be selected for Origin. They said, Kalen, you're not selected for Origin. You don't have to worry about that. He says, no, I want to focus on my club football. And then he's been tempted by fate, which is the thing that tempts you.
It does,
yes. And then fate has said,
It's a cruel, temptress
as it said,
mistress.
why don't you come in
That was a
and
car wreck of a sentence.
why don't you come and play for Queensland? Game 3, Kalen. We've already won the series. It'll be
Billy was
wonderful.
stringing the
He was like this.
strings.
Like this. And Kalen said, no. I said no once. I said no twice. I shall not deny him.
He's a stern man at the best of times, Kalen.
Yeah.
You don't want to wrong him. Don't get on his bad side because he will say to you, no.
Yeah.
I said no and I meant no and I will stick by no.
688. Deny him thrice.
Thrice.
Thrice when the crow cries. it's a biblical thing.
Is
That
it? I
yeah.
thought it was from The Raven.
No, it's
great
the
poem.
I said it was the man that betrayed Jesus Christus.
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest,
Of course. Of course. Gave him a kiss at the Last Supper.
for a bag of silver. Liam, it's time for the news. Mike Rabbit there, of course.
Great man. One of Newcastle's finest men. I remember many years ago it was Mad Monday. Sorry, it wasn't Mad Monday. It was Terrible Tuesday.
Yeah.
3 days after Silly Sunday. No Wanderers, I believe, had lost the grand final, and I'd been drinking for 3 days. And,
we lost you there for a bit.
Yeah. I disappeared for a couple of days, and by the time Terrible Tuesday rolled around, they showed the replay on NBN at 3 in the morning, and Microbit was commentating. And as much as that game hurt me to watch, Microbit's commentary it made it hurt less.
Yeah, because Microbit also used to commentate Knights games that was just purely for
yeah.
NBN, I believe. Yeah, which was like sort of separate to the other broadcasts.
Great man, one of the finest mustaches in history.
It's a
And
very
there's been some terrible ones. His is one of the best.
very strong mustache. Good sort of. He got grey quite gracefully there as well, sort of like a Maxwell Sheffield.
Yeah, much like Maxwell Sheffield.
Dylan Brown, Liam. This is a sort of a conclusion of an ongoing scandal.
Saga, perhaps.
Banned for 4 more matches because he's already sat out for a bit.
Time served, I think they call that in the yard.
Touching without
Sexual
consent.
touching.
That's
Maggie.
the worst
Sexual
kind.
touching without consent,
Yeah.
which is a new thing, I guess. I've never heard it phrased quite in that way.
I think it's taken the place of groping. You see?
Yeah.
yeah.
I see, groping's kind of a funny word.
Yeah, it is a funny
It's
word.
a funny word for a very bad thing
Very
to do to
bad.
someone.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's like when they rebranded the King Hit as the Coward Punch. You know, it was like King Hit makes you sound, oh, I'm a big tough man throwing punches. Coward Punch, you just sound like a dickhead.
That's exactly
So I
right,
think it's good that they've transitioned it from groping, which is, it's a funny word, to, no, it's sexual touching, especially when it's non-consensual.
Hopefully, also they move groping out of sort of the lexicon. Is that the right use of the word there?
Very
and
good
then
use of the word.
Because of course, the Nelson Bay Gropers is a team. That
I was going to bring up the Nelson Bay Gropers.
And it's a fish. You see, it's a fish. They weren't all sexual touches. You see.
Oh, I don't know. I knew some of those Nelson Bay boys.
Some of them,
They were.
on the law of averages, probably some of them were. But
I won't name which coach said this, but we were playing against Nelson Bay once in the senior grade, and he said, "Let's go out and get those ice-addicted fishermen."
Yeah.
Again, I shan't name names, but they were, funnily enough, kicked out of the Cricketers' Arms that night for being on various banned substances.
Yeah,
and tearing apart the conference. Yeah, they graffitied the conference room.
Yeah.
So, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. Well, what can I say?
And you're one of them. You did your time in the Groper Dome.
I sure did. The Titans, this was the interesting thing about these two Maroons players, because they've sacked Holbrook. Holbrook's gone, but apparently two of the highest sort of movers and shakers of the Titan side had their contracts tied up in Justin Holbrook.
Now, I think if you will, if you were to look at an NRL contract, it's all in the fine print. Yes, basically in big letters it says, I play football 4 years here, $1 million.
Yeah.
But then there's so many caveats and, subtitles and footers and headers and notes. And it seems to be that you can say, I like this coach.
Yeah.
Put another one in, see what happens. Yeah. Now, I thought Ben Hunt had one of those ratchet clauses whereby he could leave if Hook Griffin left, but apparently he didn't. But yeah, these two teenage tyros at the Titans. So not in their teenagers. He's in their early 20s tyros at the Titans.
Including Tino.
Didn't like... Or they didn't like initially that Holbrook was going to be fired potentially and said, no, we're going if he goes. But they seem to be pretty happy up there.
They seem to be okay with it.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a theory that because, we often hear about homesickness.
Yes, we discussed it at great length last week.
Homesickness.
About get sick for four walls and a roof.
And you have to move to where you're going to be home again. Yeah. Now, of course,
to ease the sickness.
According to Wikipedia, Tino was born in Orange. So could we see him moving?
New South Wales.
New South Wales, mind you. Well recorded. New South Wales, Orange in the heartland.
Take it to the courts.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court of Australia needs to discuss this. Why is Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, a good Orange boy, playing for a bad Maroon team?
Are we going to see him move back to Canberra or Sydney in a club like that so it can be closer to Orange?
Now, we were discussing this pre-show because we both thought that Orange was relatively close to Canberra. Turns out we were very wrong.
We both went there quite recently.
Quite recently.
Yeah.
I thought I could hear the politicians, speaking rubbish from around the corner. Turns out they're just very loud and full of shit. Not just full of shit.
Quite far away from Canberra and Sydney. However, though, if you remember, it doesn't really matter where you're from in Queensland. If you're homesick from Queensland and you live in Sydney, you can just
the whole state.
You can just move there. Yeah, our very own Kalen Ponga. At one stage, there people said, he's going to go back and play for the Dolphins because he's homesick for Townsville.
It's very strange.
I'm not sure if you've ever travelled from Redcliffe to Townsville, but it's not a short drive.
That is not a drive that I would ever like to do.
It's about as long as it takes to get from Newcastle to
Brisbane.
To
the
Brisbane.
very same distance that he is homesick for.
Yeah.
But now I don't see these two leaving, and I'll tell you why, Nagy. I'll tell you why. The Gold Coast Titans, many people may not know this, they are building one hell of a junior nursery, and they always have. They've always been really strong, the Gold Coast Titans, especially in the Arrive Live Cup. Yep. There's Keebra Park High School, there's Palm Beach Currumbin High School. Their juniors have always been incredibly strong.
Yep.
And now those juniors are starting to trickle up. Reagan had his trickle-down economics. It doesn't work, and this is why we're having a cost of living crisis and about to enter probably another recession.
Yeah.
In the NRL, the trickle-up economics is starting to pay off.
Follow us for our...
I'm Alan Kohler. Thank you.
Follow us for economics show, which is our sister channel.
And I think one of the important one of the important things about said trickle-up economics in the NRL is that both Tino and David Fafita have a brother playing in the NRL Titans team. Of course, Tino with his brother Isaac Fa'asuamaleaui and David Fafita with his brother Jojo Fafita, which sounds like the name of a female R&B singer from the 90s. Jojo
Fafita,
Jojo Fafita. Great, beautiful, dulcet tones. But there was talks of them going to Canberra. Yeah, ain't going to happen. They're staying at the Titans.
Probably.
Why would you not want to be coached by Des, the original madman of rugby league?
Yeah, he's the mad scientist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying to my barber. Just give me Des.
Give me the Des. Des.
Yeah. The mad scientist of rugby league.
It's we might take we got a little bit more. Don't leave us, and not that anyone leaves at halftime anyway, because it's an immediate time we come back. Trent Robinson, famous for winning 2 consecutive grand finals.
Also
back-to-back.
famous for stealing Nathan Brown's trick, the
Yeah.
recruiting trick of the power of the butter chicken.
The buttered chicken, of course. Yeah, well, yeah,
Except
pulls them in.
now the trick was he used his butter chicken on good players, whereas Brownie used the butter chicken on just any old asshole who was walking past the house.
anyone that came in.
Like, you're walking
Please.
past the house, you got a pair of shorts on? Yeah, come on
Come
in,
in.
butter chicken for you and a 5-year deal.
Smell that? He left the window open of the kitchen, so let it waft down.
And then you smell it and you float into the kitchen like an apple pie sitting on the windowsill
Exactly,
there.
yeah. Really. Trent Robinson, for some reason I put the accent on the funny page of the word there, Trent Robinson, he's blaming everyone, including the referees, for the poor form of the Roosters, except himself. The blame's going everywhere, but it's going outwards, it's not going inwards.
Well, I think it's because he's been so good for so long that he doesn't understand the concept of his team being bad. You know, he won a first year, 2013. Back-to-back, 2018, 2019.
2019, yeah.
He's never really had a bad team. So I think when he looks at the game, he's like, no, our team didn't play badly because we don't do that. We never have and we never will. What's going on? I just think the man doesn't know what a bad performance feels like.
Feels like, yeah.
Because he gets to the end of the game, he's like, no, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It must be other factors outside of our own control.
They're sitting down there in 13th, and I think everyone else had them in the 8 and possibly in the 4.
A lot of people had them for the minor premiership and the major premiership as well. Of course,
good.
The double that the Sawtell Panthers under 12s achieved in the year 2000.
Yeah, of course. They're famously.
Major and minor and major premiers. I might have been 2001.
There was a beating to within an inch of their lives, Liam, with the
There
North
was
Queensland.
3, but this one's the best.
This was the best beating.
Wow.
North Queensland defeated the West Tigers 74-0.
Now, I did a bit of mathematics, and again, Joust, you know how hard that is for me to do, and I believe since the last Tigers game, they lost 66 points to 18, to this game where they won 74 points to 0. That is a 122-point swing.
Yeah.
Which is unheard of. That's unfathomable. I'd love to get David Middleton on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, rugby league stats guru David Middleton, and say, when was the last time a team had a 122-point swing in 2 games in one season?
Amazing.
In the same season.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Tim Sheens is meant to be coaching the team next year.
Now, Tim Sheens, of course, as we recall, Jousters from the beginning of the year, Tim Sheens did a review of the Tigers coaching staff last year. He went through a full review in the off-season, and his conclusion in the review was, look, the coaching staff of the Tigers aren't very good there.
No.
They haven't done their
Michael
job
Maguire's not doing a good job.
Michael Maguire's doing a terrible job. I've done my review. Wouldn't you know who would be a great coach? Me. I would. He reviewed his own career.
His own career. Yeah. He said, and the next coach will be, and he hits the PowerPoint, and it's just a photo of him. Me.
With tiny little Benji there, and said, Benji, he's going to take over from me in the year 2034, but I'm going to take it for now. And is this maybe, speaking of axes swinging, is this where the Sheens, Marshall, Farah experiment ends?
Well, it's apparently that it's going so poorly that they're going to say the assistant coach, Marshall, is going to take the reins even earlier.
A man who has famously never coached at an NRL level.
Yeah, not doing particularly well as an assistant coach now.
And his TV show didn't do that great. Remember he had his own spin-off show on Fox League? It didn't go very well.
No.
Which is such a shame because he's so likeable.
Oh, he's quite likeable.
Yeah,
except
very
if you
likeable,
wanna,
man.
I suppose, speaking of likeable, if you're talking about venues in Newcastle.
This is more a lovable venue.
It is more of a lovable.
Venue.
It's more of a place you can feel like you're at home in the heart of Newcastle. The Hamilton Station Hotel, the only place to go where everybody will know your name if you go there as much as we do. And that's quite often.
Very often. But not often enough, I think. It's a wonderful pub.
It's the only place that if you go there for sport or music or what other reasons people go to the pubs?
Drinking.
Drinking.
Yes.
Sport, music, drinking. And you
Food.
combine and all those things.
Company.
Combine those together.
Experiences.
Yeah. The Hamilton.
The Hamilton Station Hotel. It's an experience.
Right there.
It's not a pub, it's an experience.
It's experience.
There you go. You can use that one, Tristan, in your ads. We won't take any credit. We won't take any royalties. We'll just say, there you go.
You can just put it up straight on the banner. We're going to take a halftime break and we're coming back to talk about something very exciting.
Oh, yes.
Very exciting. So please stay with us and we'll be right back. back to the second half of the Joust. Now, Liam, something happens special in everyone's lifetime. You know, some people talk about
births, deaths, marriages, celebrations, graduations, proms, I think they call them in the US, all these wonderful things that happen in your life.
Yeah. One of those things happened to us. And All Knights fans, yesterday, might be 2 days ago when you're watching this, but yesterday for us, when our very own Newcastle Knights decided to take on the Canterbury Bulldogs, and they said, no more losing. No, we're not even gonna.
We won't entertain the thought of losing.
No,
we won't even discuss the concept of losing.
We said, David Middleton, get your record book out because we're about to put something brand new. Get that ballpoint rolling.
And I believe this is the highest score in Knights history. Is that correct, Nagy?
History books were
Which is
made.
good because the previous Knights record was, I think, 71-6 that lost to Brisbane.
Huh?
So it's good to have a nice, good record now.
Yeah, the good record. I think we all remember as Knights fans in our recent memory, the 2016 60-0 loss to the Sharks. But then we've done a bit of a Sharks.
I remember I was at that game and I was in the lineup to get in through the gates.
Yeah.
And I got there in the lineup at kickoff, and by the time I'd gotten into the ground, about 4 minutes in, they'd already scored 2 times. That was a terrible day.
They walked straight through us.
Yeah.
But if you remember then, it was a team that we won one game that season, 2016. We drew one, and it was a very emotional game. Dan Gagai, of course, was playing in that game. He was our best player at the time, and he was very upset. But we didn't have any representative players really in that team. Might have been Trent Hodkinson, I think, was the only one.
Which, again, when you say representative player and Trent Hodkinson in the same sentence, people look at you and they say, huh?
2015, he was playing, but all right. Anyway, whatever the case.
Crying on Tarek Sim's shoulder. Isn't that nice, though, that he's got a mate there holding him up, propping him up. He said, here's my shoulder. And it's a big shoulder, Tarek Sims' shoulder. He says, Dane, put your noggin on that. Have a rest on there.
It was
Wet my jersey up a bit. I don't mind. It's nice.
It was a beautiful moment between two fellas.
Sadly beautiful.
Sadly beautiful.
Yeah.
But at the same time...
Like Love Actually.
The Christmas film.
A beautiful Christmas film.
Except at that damn Alan Rickman, what he does
to... he treated his poor wife, Emma Thompson, terribly. She did not deserve that. And the other one no one discusses is that bloke who hits on his best friend's missus and tries to steal her away.
Oh, he does the Bob Dylan signs.
He does the Bob Dylan signs, and everyone's like, oh, it's a beautiful romantic thing. What a great thing to do. It's like, no, you're horning in on your best friend's missus.
Then she kisses him.
It's a terrible thing.
Oh, terrible.
As far as a morality tale,
no, not good.
Terrible.
Not
but as
good.
far as a film,
wonderful.
Incredible. One of my top 5, I reckon. If not top 3, Jousters, but make sure you get the director's cut because you see some titties. Sorry, Brittany. It's a great movie.
Wonderful, wonderful film. Yeah. Speaking about wonderful, wonderful things, Liam.
Yes.
66-0.
That's so many sixes. Yeah, and every try was worth 6 points because Kalen Ponga. Now, we fired Mark Tukey a couple of weeks ago.
We did.
We knew that it would take a few weeks, for the...
recalibrate.
Recalibrate.
Yeah.
Take a few weeks to recalibrate. Take a few weeks to get rid of Tukey's... they call it Tukey's technique.
Yeah.
Where you just get a 20-metre run up, punt it with the front of your toe. And so it feels like Kalen has finally moved beyond...
A short prayer.
Short prayer. Kalen's finally moved beyond the Tukey toe toucher technique.
Yeah.
And he's adopted the more, well-known around-the-corner kicking style and kicked 11 from 11.
Famously, Kalen Ponga, not a known conversion kicker. Usually his conversion rate is around 60% or something like that, And then but to kick 11 from 11, 22 points purely from conversions.
And look at all those 11s. 11 tries, 11 conversions, 11,000 people, which in Accor Stadium looks just... woeful.
It doesn't look
Why
good.
do they play club games there? It makes no sense.
Potentially they took the attendance halfway through the game where a lot of people had fucked off, let's be honest. and could you blame them, because at 30-0 at half time, Liam, 30-0. I thought, well, they've won the game.
Yes.
They'll probably take the foot off the throat. But they reapplied the foot. They
put the other foot on.
They changed feet.
2 feet on the throat. So many feet on the throat. It was amazing. It's not something we're used to seeing from the Knights.
And we thought 5 tries converted. Amazing in the first half. 6 in the second half.
Incredible.
How could you improve on a 30-0 first half?
Now, look at those stats. Now, last week we looked at the stats between the Knights and the Panthers, and it looked like the kind of statistics where Penrith would win 66-0. The Knights reversed it and used those statistics in their own favour.
13 line breaks to 1, and that one line break for the Dogs, barely a line break, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It was
a line break in name only.
The missed tackles, 12 missed tackles to the Knights, 63 to the Dogs.
If that's not a record, then I'm not here. 63 missed tackles. Well, almost one missed tackle for every point, almost.
As I was saying briefly before, like it wasn't a known. We didn't have a representative side when we lost to the Sharks 60-0, and we had a terrible season. They went on to win the premiership. Good on them.
Yeah, well, good for them.
Good for them.
You Shane Flanagan cheating boys.
But this game, this team that we played, shouldn't be looked down upon. There was the likes of Davida Pangai Jr. who played Origin mere weeks ago.
Yes.
Josh Adokar, who's still in that Origin
Yes.
side. Reed Marnie, who's played the grand final last year.
Matt Burton, widely regarded as the hottest young prospect in rugby league, even though he hasn't kicked on.
Premiership winner,
the Bulldogs.
Matt Burton. Yeah, couldn't do it all. Couldn't do anything to stop the barrage.
Now, I was concerned, Nag.
Oh,
I was concerned pre-game because the Knights have a terrible track record, and I think we discussed it last week. The Knights have a terrible track record of playing the Bulldogs in the second half of the season when the Bulldogs are anchoring the bottom of the ladder. Yeah. And so I was genuinely concerned. Yeah. But we had, the wife and I were heading out to see my dear friend Aaron, his beautiful wife Sarah. They live out in Rutherford, so we stopped in the Bradford Hotel.
Yeah.
And we listened to the first 15 minutes on the radio, and then when we got into the pub, it was like the first 15 minutes were okay.
I don't think it was a try scored.
The second we sat down, it was just bang, 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 try.
Machine gun try score, Fellatio.
What an odd name for a band that was. Machine Gun Fellatio. That's pretty gross.
Yeah. Machine Gun Kelly now, who doesn't look
also
like
gross.
Yeah, gross for completely.
The man's got several different types of hepatitis.
Yeah, he does.
Every letter in the alphabet, he's got a hepatitis for it.
Doesn't look well.
No.
Now, if we're looking at performances, now it was hard to really separate any of the players of
we
the
had
17.
to buy a hat factory.
We had to.
There were so many hats offs that we had to buy an entire factory just to produce the hats that we were going to take from our own heads.
Sharon was on the
blower to Guangzhou in China.
Yeah,
she was scrolling through AliExpress because there's not enough.
I even saw her on the Springer, rolling him through. She had the fabric. She was trying to put them together.
You don't know this about Sharon Joust, but she's an expert milliner.
It's a singer, isn't it? It's a singer.
Singer sewing machine.
Singer sewing machine.
But no, she's an expert milliner, which Joust, you don't know that. It's a hat manufacturer. Yeah. She uses the Singer for it.
Yeah.
The proper foot pedal and everything.
Foot pedal. She had the foot pedal going.
Yeah, she did.
Threading.
Pumping and threading and doing all the good stuff just to produce all the hats that Newcastle needed to equip the Knights.
To take off, of course. Yeah. To take off. You have to have a hat to take off.
We still don't really get the concept of hats off and hats on, Joust. Apologies.
Several years. Anara Tawala, a player that I always say, is probably represents mediocrity.
But represents it well.
But it scored a gorgeous try at the hands of Tyson Gamble, which I thought was just amazing to see running under the post. The Red Mist played the kind of game that we thought was going to happen in round one. It's taken him about 20 rounds to get there.
Was this the Red Mist's coming of age game, Nagy? I think he ran over 100 metres for the first time.
Yeah, first
maybe
time.
in his career, perhaps?
Potentially.
Yeah,
I don't
potentially.
know. He was running, he was offloading, it was leading to tries. It was amazing. We had our very own Jackson Hastings.
The monk on leave.
And he said through the week, this is remarkable.
It's a Joust exclusive.
He said, I'm going to run the ball more because I haven't been running the ball as much as I'd like to because of my ankle. But I'm going to run it, and basically
ankles are important for running, Joust. I don't know if you know this. We are no medical experts, but what we're told is that you need functioning ankles to run.
And the first try that he scored was him just dumbing and running the ball. He called his shot before he did it, similar to our very own Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, well-known Newcastle boy. He said, "I'm gonna hit a dinger out to beyond third base there," and he did. That's what Jackson Hastings said. He said, I'm going to run the ball more, and he did.
He did.
And he scored the tries.
They weren't ready for it.
Which is odd, given that he said he would do it.
He's not the fastest, he's not the most athletic, but he did it. Another, look, Adam O'Brien has been under a bit of pressure, but he's done a remarkable thing in the Newcastle Knights, I'd say the coaching masterstroke in taking the established 5'8",
well-known 5'8",
of Kalen Ponga, and putting him back to fullback. And again, he's had one of the greatest games. One of the greatest games
in his reverse lockyer. The development of Kalen Ponga as the reverse lockyer really is something to behold. It's something to behold.
I don't think anyone saw it coming that he would
in world sports. There's never been such a thing attempted.
It'd be
across all the breadth of the entire universe. and all the sports you could imagine.
Yeah.
It's never been tried.
Some people looked at Ponga and said, I don't think he can play fullback. I don't think he can do it.
Well, I think we just said that.
yeah.
I think we said that at the start of the season.
How can he do it?
Yeah.
And he's proven us all wrong to be one of the premier fullbacks of the game.
Again, out of nowhere.
Who would have seen this
could not
coming?
pick this. But, this might take us an extra 40 minutes of the show, but who are we hatting off?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, or
There's
hatting off.
so much.
Well,
now,
please take it away, Liam, because
thumb.
The thumb.
I think we touched on it briefly in the Origin preview at the start of the show, but wasn't Bradman Best just a sight to behold? He was galloping away. He was getting his left arm free for the little
Gidley flick
pass, the Gidley flick,
Yeah.
which a lot of you younger jousters will know it as the Benji flick. It's not the
Benji flick.
No, it's the Gidley flick.
Yeah,
and so, he was getting that arm free, popping it out the side. Who have you got for second?
Second of our four, of course.
Yeah.
Four this week. Lachlan Fitzgibbon, 19 runs, 3 line break assists, a try assist, and a try himself.
Yes.
Amazing.
Incredible. Now, my wife has become a very, very diehard Newcastle Knights fan. And on the way into the game, as I mentioned, we were driving out through the beautiful Hunter Valley. And she said, look, I think Lockie Fitzgibbon hasn't been playing up to his potential, and maybe it's time to let him go.
Oh, really?
Now, we hadn't even taken our seats at the pub when, bam, Lockie Fitzgibbon scores his first try. And I said, darling, I love you to bits, but you got that one wrong. But maybe we'll come back to that in the end of the news. But I thought it was very astute. Brittany said he hasn't been, playing up to his usual standard. He hasn't been really killing it. And then he did. So, Brittany, please say all the Knights fans, the Knights players are bad and they'll all play amazing.
That's his 4th try for this season, which is the most since his earlier times where he scored, I think, 8 and 7, respectively, when he was coming in.
He's back doing that beautiful left-hand overs line with the hit and the spin.
Hit and spin.
Great at the hit and spin.
Running in with the hit and then spinning, of course, and landing on the line. It's amazing that he's... I keep saying the word amazing because I was amazed.
So much amazement.
I was sitting on the floor in front of the television, Liam. I had to get closer to the television for what I was seeing to take it all in. This does
to
not...
drink it in.
This doesn't... this may never happen again in our lifetime.
Likely it won't.
I don't think we can put how much this meant to Knights supporters that were so desperate for a win, and we got it in droves. Even my dear wife Cassie said, "Oh, this is almost becoming embarrassing for the other team." I said, "Yes, it was."
Yeah.
And she said, "Is it?" I said, "This is still amazing. Keep your eyes fixed." Keep your eyes fixed on the television because I just want them to keep going again and again.
Now let's go into our next hats off Nagy. It's Greg the Bus.
Yeah.
Now obviously, Greg the Bus was dropped for missing the bus, and then the next week they said, well, we're going to let Greg fly the plane for the next game.
Yeah.
And it certainly paid off. 15 tackle breaks in the game, I believe it was, thereabouts 15. And he now leads the competition in tackle breaks with 109. What a man. What a powerhouse of a man. He's built low to the ground.
Very low.
He's built like a
chair.
A chair.
Yeah,
much like a dear friend of the show, Brandon Clough. Built like a
chair.
Yeah. Built like a Jeep, a Land Rover Defender. So I remember I had a mate who had a Land Rover, and he said, you could put a bullet in the engine block. 50 caliber bullet in the engine block, and that thing wouldn't break. Yeah. I say the same about Greg.
Greg
Muzzieu is a Land Rover Defender.
Yeah. Put a 50 cal through him, he's going to still come at you.
He's fine.
He's like a rhino.
He is like a rhino.
One more hats off for this week, of course. And it's hard to forget about him because he is the captain of the team. Might not be the best in the post-match conferences and also on the Matty Johns show trying to talk about the team. He's full of giggles, full of laughter. Reverse Lockie, Kalen Ponga. Kalen Ponga again. Stats amazing. Now he didn't score a try.
I'm glad you mentioned the stats because I forgot them. Tell us the stats because there's heaps of them and they were all very good.
He didn't score a try himself, but he set 3 of them.
Oh, he didn't, did he?
No try himself. But he decided I was going to get 22 points and kick 11 goals. Yeah. He made that decision early on, and then just did it. And I said, well done to you. Can you do it again? And again and again.
No.
As we mentioned before, there wasn't so long ago that we said, is Kalen Ponga, up to NRL standard, or can he play this? Of course, he's moved from his preferred position at 5'8".
Again, a masterstroke from Adam O'Brien.
Reverse Lockyer. And now he's in a brand new position at fullback, and it'd be hard to say that he is not playing an absolute premier rugby
And his
league.
stats line was incredible.
Champagne,
I think you mentioned perhaps it was three
try assists,
couple
yeah.
of line break assists,
Line break
couple
assists.
of line break. I think he had 3 or 4 line
Line
breaks
breaks himself. It was yeah.
3 line break assists. It's over 200 meters by a long way.
Yeah.
it was the performance that you really want out of this 5/8 come fullback. It's a new role for him.
Yeah.
It's a new role for him.
Worth every penny. Now
It's a lot of pennies. 1.4 million, just off the top of my head. That's 1.4 million dollar coins. 100 pennies makes up a dollar coin.
Bear with us.
So
Yeah.
I believe he is worth 1.4 trillion pennies.
Yeah, that works out. Sure.
Yeah.
Now,
Boy, aren't you glad that Australia got rid of the penny?
yeah.
Oh yes.
Are you? What about the two?
Yeah.
What about the 2-cent coin?
Yeah, I agree. What do they call the 2 pence?
The 2 pence. Well, I think it was just 2
Tuppence.
cents. That's still the cent. I
That's
think it
2
was
cents,
the decimal system. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was where a hat has to come off, Liam. Has to return. Where can we return a hat?
Not to any of the Knights players. That's
Not
for
at
sure.
all. No.
No.
But there was one moment in the game where we thought this was the time, and it was a pass from Tyson Gamble.
Which was beautiful. It was stunning to watch.
Yeah.
He did that beautiful move where he looks out the back to hit the long ball. He winds his shoulders up to throw a 4-man cut pass and then just deftly pops it. The ball to Leo Thompson. Just pops it to Leo Thompson, who I believe to this day still hasn't scored an NRL try.
He hadn't scored a try. Now, it was an illegal forward pass, but we think that the illegality
Yes.
was really ruling on it by our very own
Ziggy Alphabet. Ziggy Pershaklaska Adamski, one of the fine refs in this competition. He's been around for quite some time, but as you'll see in the picture you Joust, he's still a fairly robustly handsome man.
A classically handsome man.
Very classically handsome.
Gorgeous George. I
Yeah,
think
but
it's
could you
known
buy
as,
a vowel for your surname, Ziggy? Come on, mate. Jesus.
Hats back on.
Pershaklaska Dempsey. That's a tough one.
Hats back on to Ziggy. Now, Liam.
Wow. This was an interesting pastry-related event today
Yeah, it was.
because usually Jousters, I would say, I had a pie. I'm going to relate it to one particular try scored in the game. This is a bit of a different one. So I got a pie, and I've got this a number of times before. Directly across from my work at the Fennel Bay Cells is a gas station.
Yeah.
Sorry, service station in this country.
Yeah.
It's the Lake Macquarie service station.
Of
right
course,
there on the corner. I don't know how they manage it. But they managed to keep their pies in the pie warmer at the perfect temperature to absolutely smash your way through. So much like the Knights just went bang, 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 bang. Try. I was able to eat this pie like bite.
Like machine gun
Just smash
fellatio,
down,
yeah.
much like machine gun fellatio. I was carrying out machine pistol fellatio on a cheese and bacon pie.
Oh, that's cheese and bacon. I can see that because if we look, if you look at the meat there, that's an interesting texture. That's not like
They use pretty big chunks.
It looks chunky. Yeah.
And, there are people who will say, there were people who will look down on us for, admiring a servo pie. And I say to those people, go back to your ivory tower, go back to your mansions on the North Shore of Sydney. If you don't like a service station pie, you don't like the Joust, you don't like Australia, you are just racist against Australia.
Yeah, basically.
If you don't like servo meat pies, you can go to hell.
In North America, where you were living,
Yes.
would they even conceive the place where you fill up your car with petrol as also some sort of faux bakery?
Well, no, but they have a similar thing. They have the hot dog. The American hotting dog. You go in, you fill up, you get your 2-litre Polar Crush pop, you get a big old hot dog.
Oh, yeah.
It's been sitting on the rack for several hours. Conceptually very similar.
Yeah, of course.
So, the idea is the same. But the thing about
Miscellaneous meat, of course.
Yeah, but the thing about there is that when they talk pies, when they read about pies, when they discuss pies, they think in the context of a large fruit pie.
Of course.
Which is phenomenal, by the way. Thanksgiving last year, we had an apple pie, we had strawberry rhubarb, we had a pumpkin pie, we had blueberry pie, and there was only six of us at dinner.
One sitting.
And we ate every single one of them. Yeah. And so to them, the concept of a small handheld savoury pie is so foreign that they don't understand it. They call it a hand pie, first of all, which is just silly. Because all pies are big enough to hold in your hand. Yeah. And there was only one pie company in Nova Scotia, and it was run by a couple of Kiwis.
Oh, of course.
And they sold their savoury hand pies. But I refused to eat there on principle because they were like $9 each.
What?
I went 2.5 years without eating a pie purely because they were charging outrageous rates for the meat pies.
We've got the hand pie here.
Yeah,
on
the hand pie.
If all you
So anyway, I was deprived of meat pies for 2.5
I'm sure you're
years.
keen to see it, and we all are too. Hold on while the Boffins are creating the hand pie slide. We do this. We do this on the fly.
We do the pie on the fly. There you go. So yeah, my pie of the week.
There it is. Bar, well done. That's a record time. Thank you, Sam Cupid.
So yeah, my pie of the week was not celebrating one individual try, but all of the tries as a concept.
As a concept. Well, if you went pie for try the entire time, you may have died.
Well, I don't know if Nagy shared this with you, Justin, but I sent him a message the other day. I ate 3 pies in one day. And
I didn't share
Nagy's
that.
wife, Cassie, of course, is a dietitian. I said,
she
Nagy,
is.
I ate 3 pies today and nothing else. Am I going to die?
I didn't
and he
repl-
replied and said no. Oh, you didn't reply?
I didn't reply to that at all. I ignored it.
Bugger. So Joust says if my arteries explode in the next couple of days, you can pin it on Scott Fagan for not telling me I was going to die for eating 3 pies in a day.
Speaking about buys and tries and it's Marcus buys the buy next week, Liam. It's the it's the buy that we have next week. We want to look forwards, not backwards, not forwards. Twirling, always twirling. But if to do that, we have to skip over the fact that there's a buy in round 19. We come straight into round 20.
2 points. We don't even have to show up.
2 points. 2 points for the Dogs game. 2 points for the bye. Basically, another point on the board with the points differential. It's wonderful.
Isn't that fantastic to see? A good positive points differential. I believe it's still negative, but still.
No, it's still positive. We're in the positives now.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. If we look there. It's
By how much?
26.
26.
But if we look at the people around us, 220. The Dogs still below us.
Isn't that an embarrassing
Minus
number? And they're not
220.
even last.
Roosters, minus 92.
Which
Dolphins,
remember, they were famed for the Bondi Wall.
Yeah.
Their
Minus
defense
83.
used to be their hallmark.
we don't see a positive until the 9th place. Cowboys, Liam.
And then I believe the Canberra Raiders up in 5th have a negative points differential.
I think
the
so too,
ladder
yeah.
this year is so topsy-turvy. It's so close. And when you look at it, we're only a mere 3 points out of the top 8.
Yeah, and pretty incredible. Well, actually, 5 points. 5 points. Thank you, Sam Cupid, for correcting us there. On
That's much more than 3 points.
on
Apologies,
ma-
Justin,
on
if I got your
mathematics.
hopes up there.
Mathematics, you see, has held us back once again. There's an interesting point also that we are now, with 6 wins, 1 draw, we are officially doing better than we were at the end of last season. Still,
good stuff.
Still with 9 games to play.
Oh, good. 9 games?
I believe so. If you maybe,
Wow.
possibly if you include the bye.
That's
No, I think if
ridiculous.
you don't, yeah,
That's
not-
a lot of football. And
lot of
then
football.
lots of winnable games in the next couple. I think we cut back.
We can
to
have a
the,
look at that,
We got
yeah.
the Tigers, who are currently running in 17th position.
Which is wonderful not to get them after the week they got thrashed and the week that we did the thrashing, because
Yes.
I feel there's always a bad omen there that we believe of the thrashing.
And then Storm's going to be a tough one. I think we can chalk that up as a loss. Canberra's another tough one because they are a team of chaos. They're a team that doesn't make any sense.
But
Nothing
we
they
often
do
beat them.
works.
We're a little bit of a bogey side for
Even the year when we had the 1 win, 1 draw, Canberra was the draw.
the draw.
So yeah, there's some sort of
And the
odd
Tigers was
bogey
the
situation.
win.
Yes.
Yeah. But of course, if we continue looking forwards to events that may or may not happen, which
Every event is an event that
may or may not happen. Was if we
You're
look
really
at,
covering all bases there.
if we look at,
I may or may not win the lottery and become rich in a lottery that I'll never buy a ticket in. So much of my life's plans revolve around winning several $1 million in a lottery that I'll never buy a ticket in, or some sort of game of skill that doesn't exist.
yeah.
Yeah. If someone came up to me and said, "You need to name 60 countries, I'll give you $1 billion,"
Couldn't do it.
I could.
Oh, you could.
In a heartbeat. I'd be a
Okay.
billionaire. But
Yeah.
no one's ever going to do that. And so I need to stop planning my life around that very occurrence.
There's always those scenarios where we go, if a gun was pointed to your head and then you had to do one of these two
Yeah.
things.
What would
it's
yours be? Yeah.
Well, the gun pointed to your head would completely throw a spanner into the works, because I've never had a gun pointed at my head that I'm aware of. Maybe it was from a distance. I'm not sure. But at the same time, it's...
Well, whoever pointed at you, 4 of them had bullets and 1 of them have a blank.
of course.
Yeah, to assuage the guilt.
To assuage the guilt. But of course, it's also like, what a sadistic person. We're all living
To
in this...
point a gun at someone's head from far away where they can't see?
No, I'm just saying this to give
'cause
them
that's sadistic as
to
well.
give them a scenario to say, answer this question or I'm going to shoot you. It's like, sounds like the sort of plight of a madman that's going to shoot you anyway, because I don't think they will be like, well, you've got the right answer, I'm going to put the gun back in my pocket, have a nice day.
Aren't you glad that John Howard instituted those sweeping reforms to Australian gun laws after Martin Bryant had a pretty bad day at a church in 1998?
I think he did the right
Yeah.
thing there. I think he did
Martin
the right
Bryant?
No. Jonathan Howard.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. We could.
This is a dark episode, Justice. This is a dark episode.
The Joust up late. Lachlan Fitzgibbon might be leaving a slam. That's been reported through the week that Lachlan Fitzgibbon might be off to probably the Warrington Wolves because that seems to be where everyone goes.
Now, again, my beautiful wife, I think she called this. She said, I think we need to let Lachie Fitzgibbon go. He's
She's
had
not a
his
fan
shot.
of him.
No, she's not. Maybe with good reason. I think, as a lot of jousters would understand and would agree with, Lachie's had a tough couple of years.
He has, yeah.
After storming onto the scene with such promise, I think it's because he cut that hair. Remember when he first started? He had that beautiful, long locks. I think Nathan Brown told him to cut it. He said, "You look like a hobo. You look like a hobo. Hobos don't play rugby league."
Yeah. Chop it all off.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Hobos do play rugby league because rugby league is a classless game. It doesn't matter what strata of society you are in. You are allowed to play rugby league.
Of course.
And I will not hear otherwise.
Like, if this might be off to England at the end of the season, I think there'll be a bit of a mixed emotions, especially after he's hit some form this year. But he has had some really struggling years with injury.
But seeing, the emergence of Dylan Lucas, that could hopefully, he could build up into the player that could fill that hole. But then you've also got to take into consideration the continued aging of Tyson Frizzell, as all human beings do.
Of course.
He is
aging. He is aging.
As we all are, just as you all are, I am.
We're all
the Buttonsmens, we're all aging.
We're cursed with
carbon, we're just carbon life forms that are born to die.
Cursed with time.
All
equally.
One day we'll all just fade into dust at the heat death of the universe.
The only way we can avoid aging is some madman comes and points a gun to our head and says, "Tell me 60 countries, I'm going to shoot you or give you $1 billion."
See, everyone always forgets Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
No, you should never forget Azerbaijan. But who have we got here on the screen, Nagy, who might be coming to replace Lachie in that second row role?
Jed Cartwright.
One of the several Cartwrights in the history of rugby league.
Yeah.
Of course, father John Cartwright was a very good player at the Penrith Panthers. I think he won the comp there in 1991.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, was an accomplished coach.
He was. He may or may not come here. It's all rumours. It's events that may or may not happen.
Yeah.
One certainty, Joust, is that you can bet your life on is that there's going to be another episode of the Joust next week. So please make sure you join us for that. But if you like us, please like us on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud. I always say SoundCloud. It's not up there. Instagram,
Apple Tunes,
Spotify, all those social pipes. Thank you for joining us for another week of the Joust. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about a miraculous win. Enjoy the
and
bye.
the various ways you can die.
If we can just all relax next week as we have the bye and then go into hopefully another miraculous win against the Tigers. So it's going to be wonderful. And then we can start talking about the finals. And it's going to be a whole nother episode of the wonderful Joust. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again next week.